Bienvenidos, y'all. This is lesson 3 for Master Holiday Ads on a Budget. Speaking of budgets, in this episode, we are covering budget-friendly targeting strategies. So if you are starting from scratch, the good news is that you can use the existing data from your website, from your email list, from your social media to actually get what you need to develop your target audience for your ideal customer on Meta Ad Manager. You can go look at your Facebook page's insights to learn about the demographics of your demo. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, my page isn't huge. I don't have a ton of data. I really didn't have my website set up perfectly for this, so it doesn't have a ton of data. Or, okay, that's fine. If that's you, that's okay. Or let's say you do have a ton of rich customer data. That's great. No matter what, we need to list out who our ideal customer is. So we want to go look at all of our existing data, and then we want to write down more about that person. So that way, when we go into Meta Ad Manager and we create like a new custom audience, we have a lot to work with. If you don't have your website set up to really be capturing this data, I highly recommend it. You want to go and make sure that it is set up with Google Analytics so that way you can learn all about your demographics and how people are navigating your website, their behavior, where they're coming from, what they're doing. It's absolutely huge. If you want to use audience insights effectively, you have to do 3 things. 1, you want to look at your best customers. What are the demos of your very best customers? The people who keep coming back, your repeaters, not just the one-off buyers, but the people who keep coming back, leave you testimonials, are highly engaged with you. How old are they? Just that basic demo information is huge. We're talking as simple as age, where they live, their income, what their job is, all of that type of data you want to list down. Literally on paper. The next thing you want to do is, again, we're thinking our very best customers, the people we already know buy from us and keep buying from us. What are their interests and their hobbies? What do they like to look at? What do they engage with? What are other big brands on social that they engage with? Why do you want to know that? Because when you create a custom audience in Meta Ad Manager, you can actually select their interests and behaviors. So the more you know about that, again, best customer, the better job you can do creating that custom audience to reach more people just like them. Another thing is you want to understand their purchasing behavior. So you can actually target people who are more likely to engage and shop. Now, when we talked about looking at our data so that way we can go create a custom audience, that custom audience would be reaching people who are brand new to us based off of the demographic information we put in there, their interest and behaviors, their hobbies, and how they buy. All of that would be brand new. But there is a better way to actually do this, and that is through retargeting. Now, this is one of the most powerful things about Meta Ad Manager, and is that you can retarget people. Meaning you could potentially upload a very juicy email list and now go target all of those people on social media, present them with an ad. So let's say you have an email list of all your very best customers and you know that they bought product X and they'll really like product C. You can now go target them on social with product C and follow up with an email with product C, thereby enhancing that conversion rate and the likelihood that they're actually going to buy. It's so exciting. You can even go retarget abandoned cart users. So that very powerful thing I mentioned of making sure your website is integrated with Meta Ad Manager, this is where something like that really comes in handy. Now, if you haven't done that work or that's just too much to do because you're really trying to do this thing fast, that's okay. I'm going to give you other retargeting tools. Another thing you could do is video viewers. Let's say you've been uploading a lot of videos, reels, things like that. You can actually go retarget all those people who engaged. So there's this really cool thing where you can target people who engaged with your brand in like the last 365 days, the last 90 days, whatever, and go present them with an ad. Y'all, that's huge. Why? Because they already know you. We haven't talked about the sales funnel. It's know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, refer. But people who are already in the know, who already trust you, are more likely to buy. So if you can retarget them, you are making your conversion rate better, meaning you are more likely to see return on your ad spend. Some retargeting tips, if you are going to retarget your website visitors, if you are going to retarget people who engaged with your brand in the last 90, 365, whatever days, if you are going to retarget people who, abandon checkout, you need to be careful not to over inundate them and create ad blindness. So you don't want them seeing this ad 10 times. They're just like, God, I'm just done, right? They're emailing me. They're stalking me on social. I'm just over it. So you got to be careful with frequency. And you want to make sure that the offer is juicy. So if you are going to reach somebody, you want them to convert quickly. So make sure that offer is really good. Maybe it's free shipping. Maybe it's some kind of bundle. Maybe it's, you know your customers better than I do. Make the incentive worth it. Of course, don't dilute your profit margin to some rate that is so extreme you can't break even on your ad spend, but make it juicy. And of course, if you can create dynamic ads, that's ideal. When you get into the setup for Meta Ad Manager, a lot of this will make more sense in terms of dynamic ads. Meaning, if you have an integration right with your website, you can present them with an ad based on what they viewed on your website. Again, that might be too much right now. If you bought this course, my guess is you need to do these things quickly. But keep this in mind for the future. I want you to take those steps to make sure your website is fully integrated with Meta Ad Manager. Maybe you can't do that today or for this next ad campaign that you create, but you certainly should do it for the future. Now, here is one of the most powerful tips I can give you, and that is to create lookalike audiences. So there are a few ways to increase revenue. You can create a new product, you can sell more to current customers, you can reach new customers, and we're gonna do this little special thing of reaching new customers, but we're gonna do it based off of the information of our best customers. So remember I said you could do something like upload an email list to Meta? Well, you don't necessarily just have to retarget those people. Another thing you can do with that email list is reach more people that look just like them. This is huge. So I mentioned you could create a custom audience where we know a lot about our ideal customer. We put that demographic information in, interests and hobbies, their buying behavior, things like that. Well, you could skip that step and do something equally or even more effective by uploading an email list of your best customers and then creating a lookalike audience. So you have a percentage scale that you can adjust and say, okay, I want it to look closer, a little looser. I recommend slightly looser based on this email list. And it will generate an audience that looks like your very best customers. And then you can present that ad to them. And you are likely to see better response, whether it is engagement, traffic, conversion, whatever it is. It is one of the easiest and most effective things you can do in terms of audience creation. And to create that lookalike, a couple of sources. One is that email list. If you have it segmented, beautiful, right? Repeat customers. Those are the people we want to create a lookalike audience based off of. Website visitors, another huge one. If you have that Metapixel installed, that's how you do that. And again, we're thinking repeat customers. The most powerful one really is going to be the email list because you know their buying behavior. Again, I mentioned there's a scale when you do a lookalike audience between 1 and 10. In the past, we could really do a smaller percentage and see quite an effective audience generated that was quite large. That has shifted in the last few years, and so now I move that scale a little closer to the 10% and still see very good conversion and a larger audience. Don't be too afraid to go to 5% or 6%. The tip really is, it's going to say stick to 1 or 2, but in this video, I'm going to challenge it a little and say get closer to the 5. And that's just from secret insider experience. So if you want to get the most out of a lookalike audience, let's say we created a lookalike audience that is of our very best customers, we're going to present an ad to them. And then let's say they click through. Let's say they get to the checkout process. When they're at that checkout process, I want you to make sure that there is a cross-sell or an upsell. Don't just, that is the most powerful way to maximize your ad revenue and your return. Is your ad might be for that one product, but during the checkout process, you are cross-selling and upselling. And that is a massive, massive way where it's not just that they spent the $6 to $29. It's now, the cart process actually encouraged them to spend $40. Suddenly, your return on ad spend gets a whole lot better. Obviously, lookalike audiences are huge during the holidays because it is a very powerful way to increase your reach in a very targeted and effective way. So if you are doing a holiday campaign for a brand new or seasonal product, I would highly recommend not only retargeting your best customers, again, by uploading that email list into Meta Ad Manager, retarget them, and then go create the lookalike, and also present that ad to this other audience. Those are two audiences, right? My best customers and people who look just like my best customers, two different ads. If you want to make the most out of your holiday ad spend, we've talked about it a lot. We're going to retarget. But you really have to hit your high impact buyers, your high intent audience. So retargeting is going to be where all of the magic happens. Just some key metrics in terms of, audience and performance. You're going to want to look at your click-through rate. So no matter what audience you've created, whether it's that email list of your best buyers, you're retargeting your website visitors, you have a lookalike audience based on an email list or website visitors, you will know how effective that audience is based on your click-through rate. So if you had a traffic ad, traffic meaning you're going from social media to your website, the lower that click-through rate is, that cost per click, the better that audience likely is. Now, of course, you do have to consider the quality of your ad. Maybe you have the right audience, but your ad is terrible, so maybe that is affecting the click-through rate. But let's say the ad is good. You can judge that audience based off of that click-through rate. Now, you will know how good it is based off a benchmark for your industry. That is pretty easy to find. You would just type into Google, what is the average click-through rate for e-commerce on Meta? What is the average click-through rate for education on Meta? Use that particular search formula and you will find the benchmark. And that is how you judge the performance of your ad. So it is whatever the metric is against the benchmark for your industry. And of course, the ultimate metric, right, is your return on ad spend. So if you have the right audience, you have the right ad, and you have made sure that wherever they end up is optimized to help sell more, your return on ad spend will do better. And I mean, again, you want to maximize that return on ad spend. Okay, you run an ad, but then if that ad is to your best customers, was there also an email to them? Was there also an organic social post? Did you do any direct mail? Like, what are you doing to help maximize your return on ad spend? It's never just the ad. So a big thing you're going to have to do. Audience is one of the most critical factors, if not the most critical thing of your holiday ad. It determines everything. You could have the best ad in the world, and if you have the wrong audience, it's never going to perform. So I'm telling you that in this holiday rush, the most effective thing to do is target your best buyers and target people who look just like them. The best key I can give you. And then make sure that ad speaks to their needs. Make sure it solves a problem, make sure the benefit is highlighted, make sure the call to action is clear, and wherever you take them next, make sure you upsell and that you cross-sell.